Aloha Kohala. It is 3 o'clock here at KRLP 96.1 FM. Kohala. This is Intuitive Talk Story for the next hour with Eila Allgood and
Michál Anna.
And okay.
We are here.
We are here at KNKR, even though there's a big power outage.
Lucky for us, we've got power over here.
And thank you to David and all those who make that possible. And there's a possibility we'll run out of gas, and I'll have to call David to come and do something. So we're going to hope the universe keeps us live for the next hour.
Keeps us on the air.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's no power in town. There's no Wi-Fi in town. I live off grid. I have power and I have satellite TV, satellite internet.
Well, you are a smart woman.
So we're connected, and it does have us thinking about those things. Like, what do we do?
I think it's something everyone ought to think about. So if you're not thinking about it, where's your water coming from? Where's your power coming from? And how can you be a little more self-sustainable? Might be some good questions I know I'm asking myself.
Yes.
What systems do I have set up when you know these rolling power outages are going to become a thing? Then I got a notice in the mail about that.
I didn't know it was
so
coming.
It's actually going to be a thing. You don't know when, but it could come at any time, and they've let everybody know. So that is something to be aware of. And I think, water and, health, food, all these kind of things are practical things are really important to think about in terms of supporting the kind of spiritual life and day-to-day life that we would like to live. So I think sovereignty stretches across all realms, physical, mental, spiritual. So on a physical level, reminder out there, let us all remember to what's going on in my home situation, zone 1, am I set up in zone 1 for myself, my family, and taking care of our needs if there was a disaster or something were to happen, etc. Are we prepared?
I love that. Yeah, and I was just talking to somebody about that. And we're focused, of course, on, being fine and everything's great and we're in la la land. And, we're seeing things like these regular power outages that wreak havoc with our businesses in town that have refrigeration.
Yeah, everything's closed.
Things closed up. Town looks like a ghost town because even if you have a generator like we're fortunate to have here, it doesn't do everything. So, and it's expensive to get all that going. So,
and then the question I would ask to the town is, we have that huge wind farm. I thought we were doing some sort of backup systems.
Yeah.
Like at this point, I thought our town itself was working on a little bit more backup power. So anyone out there who knows about those things.
Yeah, give us a call at 808-884-5657 because we talk about what comes up in the moment. That's part of Intuitive Talk Story. And some of that is physical, and it's all connected to the spiritual and the emotional and the mental. So,
well, how you show up in the world is very much related to your spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can talk a lot of talk, but ultimately are we walking the walk? And that's, that's really the gig is, are we living the tools? Are we living in a sovereign state and having things taken care of for ourselves? We all work together. I mean, none of us are an island. We need one another and help one another. And I think that's another reminder to self and to everyone out there, like, hey, create more systems of community within your family groups. Like, let's go over to so-and-so's and all work over at their house today. Mm-hmm. And then next week we'll go over to so-and-so's. These are the ways that we can help one another. Go back to these more simple ways of supporting our community and our town and wherever you are, your own communities and towns, making real relationshiping. People get so tied into the computer, into the social medias, into all these other systems, and just remembering to talk to people face to face and help one another out there in your daily world, right? So just that reminder to us all, right, to incorporate more face to face.
I was in Kona yesterday. I had to bring my car and for a service, and they gave me a ride. They could, they give you a ride somewhere if you drop your car off, kind of thing. And I was going to go here, and then all of a sudden I'm like, feeling like I want to go over there. So they took me over there, and I did something that I don't usually do in Kona, which is walk around because I had no car. And I walked from place to place, and I had magical experiences everywhere I walked. I ran into people I knew from Kohala. We had lunch together, totally not planned, totally in the moment. Somebody else called my name. I don't really know many people in Kona, if, a handful maybe. So I feel like that personal connection, getting out there and putting yourself out there in the community is so valuable because we share so much and we offer so much to one another. We've talked about that, what I might be pretty good at that's not on your wheelhouse, but you're really great at this other thing. And so as we come together, we can support each other. We don't even know how till we get there and we just talk to one another and say, hey, what are you doing? What's up with you?
I love what you're saying. And I love that it really, to me, calls forth the new earth that we're building. And those that are ready to build this new earth, that are feeling this vibe, who are feeling like, yes, we're choosing love, we're choosing unity, we're choosing principles of values, integrity. We want to live this way. We want to teach our children this way. I feel that we have the opportunity to really involve ourselves in this new earth thinking, in this new earth way of moving together. And it really is about self-sovereignty and empowerment, and then coming to the round table where we all get to bring our gifts. And like Eila said, and we each get to empower one another into the gifts we're good at and put into the whole in a responsible and integral and in a way that is honoring of everyone's energy. It's not about like a socialistic framework. It's not socialistic.
Right.
It's completely about sovereignty and then honor and respect of one another. To me, the true unity field is really about that. It's understanding that it's not about, oh, we're just all one, man. No, it's about understanding that we are all one inside of this grant of that God is all that is, and that all is God. There's nowhere to go home to other than God at the end of the day. There's nothing. Oh, did we lose it?
No, that was.
And so but yet we are expressions and all incarnate in these energy. Oh, I can't hear again.
You're okay.
In the energies in the body. And so we are having our own experiences as individuals too, and sovereign beings making choices and being in charge here in this plane. And it matters what you choose. Your choices do matter. And they matter for the whole, because you are, eyes of God per se. You are the infinite hologram yourself. Each of us comes into wholeness, we have that opportunity.
Oh, yeah. And as you talk about choices, I'm thinking about different people I've met in town over the years. And I feel a lot of people who have come here from other places, I've noticed, are, they have very unique qualities about them.
Well, you come from another place.
Oh, yeah. Some say another planet. But where I did not feel part of the fabric of my growing up in New York, I never really felt like I belonged there. I have that very different experience here. And it's not because I meet a lot of people who are just like me. There's just an energy here that is more home to me. And I won't try to explain it because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that aside, I totally honor you, and I feel similarly. I understand it's my home as well. But what I really want to talk about is this vibe thing you brought up about people vibing together and getting out there and kind of putting yourself out into whatever community you live in, no matter where you are, to get into your community and feel the people, the places, and allow yourself to be led of spirit, while at the same time being prepared, which I think is, to me, is the balance. Everything is a balance of this left, right, masculine, feminine. I'm not like going, let's just live on spirit. I just know like a piece of some, I'll be fed, man. I'm not doing that. I'm going, I need to go to the store. I need to plant seeds. I need to, prepare for whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish. And then there's a part of preparedness. We prepare, we do the things, and then we let go and we allow the space for magic, which Eila was bringing up a little earlier, this magical feeling. And so that to me is this dichotomy where we're reaching, or not, you're not reaching actually, you're embodying and sitting and vibing, because as we vibrate into more wholeness and we vibrate into this like, I just am taken care of. Just in this knowingness that I am taken care of. I've done what I need to do. I've thought through things. I'm being prepared here. Okay. I've done my part. Now I can let it go and make space and allow. Now, when I'm making space and allowing things come into the field, like Eila was describing, she's having these magical experiences because she's being in just the flow, allowing this vibe to take place. And I had a similar experience in Hilo this last weekend. My friend Adrian and we were also feeling this magic and flow and having this like running into people all over that I needed to see that were like the people like up, and it's just so clear that we're all vibing together. That like us tracks like that this like vibratory field is resonating and all the things are vibrating similarly, and you're like, oh wow, here we are, of course. And that kind of like getting into that feeling that that changes the game, because now you're like, right, we're just getting to do this. There's a magic and a gratitude in that, like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I just love how blessed we get to be when we give thanks and we allow ourselves to just vibrate. And when we're doing that, there's so much joy and giddiness and laughter and fun, and there's also this feeling of just being in complete oneness at the same time, yet prepared.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important for us to give it voice about the magic. And one of the things I've been feeling is that in order for people who might be out there saying, there's no magic in my day right now, one of the things I'm noticing is things cannot stay the same right now. Throughout my life, there have been times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything because it might upset somebody or something, or so I would just keep things kind of status quo, and till tomorrow, till the next day, till the next year. And right now feels like the kind of time where if you're feeling some angst or issue with something or someone, it needs to be brought up and it needs to be dealt with, and then we need to let go of how that unfolds. A lot of times we want to control it. It's like, oh, I'm upset about this, so I'm going to do these 5 things and control the outcome. It doesn't feel like that's possible right now. The energy to me feels like, okay, there's an issue here. I'm going to bring this up, and I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I'm going to bring it with love, and then I'm going to let go. And you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do. I'm feeling that dichotomy, and I hear you. I feel like we're in this new earth time where we're all, if you're choosing to like go, woo, I'm riding the ascension. I'm choosing to go into higher thinking, higher frameworks. I really want to embody that. If that's really where you're at, then you've probably been asked to let go of some stuff lately. It's probably been, this last 6 months has been cray. It's been cray for me, and I'm experiencing so much pain and sadness at the same time, so much joy and expansion. I'm mourning, and I killed the dream. I crumbled the illusions in my personal life, and I also, crumbled the illusion in a lot of things, because crumbling the illusion there crumbles it everywhere. When you're willing to let go of the thing you think is the thing, wow, you just get to like be free of everything. Because
I love that expression that you have.
Yeah.
The thing.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to name it. Like just give it the thing.
It's the thing. It's just whatever the thing is for you. It's your thing. I don't know what your thing is. I got a thing. You got a thing. We all got a thing. The thing is, don't reach for the thing. See, that's the thing. Ultimately, is don't reach for the thing. We're all reaching for the thing. I had my own version of the thing. I thought if I do the thing, then I'll get the thing, and then I'll be the thing, and that's what we're all doing in some way. But what was cool is see, I really love my newest one, like I roll like Frodo. Homie, don't play power. So because I roll like Frodo, it means that I'm not here for the power. I'm here for the love. So I'm not tempted by the power. I'm not tempted, although I've been on a stage, I'm not tempted by the stage. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not why I was ever there. Like, that was not why I ever did any of the things I do. I've never been on stages and singing and dancing and for the power. I've been there because I wanted to spread the good word. I want to be of service. I want to love, and I just like to be my best self. Like, I'm not trying to compete with anybody else. I just want to be my very best. And I'm a fun, dynamic person, and I like to be good at a lot of things because I can. So why not? And so it's my own personal best that I'm always striving for. No one else's. And, but in the world, that can be tainted because we often ride from much lower frequencies, and people are often comparing and dealing with wounding. So, it's hard to connect with folks when they're in that kind of wounding and might see you in a happy place, and your happiness might just bring all their things, and things that might take place. And so it's a value for us to know where we are and where you're coming from and what you're doing, and then realize that in this time we kind of got to let go of what we, like Eila said, we can't control anything. I can know what I'm putting forth and what it is to be Pono for me. How do I want to stand upright? What's my goal? And I can do that. But I can't control whether Eila will meet me there. And I've definitely I experienced that. I am doing the parts that I know, but I can't say I did it right. How do we ever do anything right? But I did what I know to serve my Christic heart, to protect my own sovereignty and wellness. And, sometimes in those processes, we're not all coming from the same place, and someone isn't able to meet us. That's not ultimately my responsibility. I have to be responsible for myself and meeting my own needs and meeting what's right and good for me. And if each of us do that and honor one another in that process and kind of let go of the expectation or what we think it's supposed to be, we all have a lot more fun because we're disappointed based on our expectations a lot of times of what we think something's supposed to be rather than what it is, and then allowing whatever needs to unfold by letting go more. And I think this newer time's asking all of us to let go more, like be prepared and then let go.
Well, and like you said, letting go of the thing, letting go of the dreams, letting go of how you think you're supposed to live or anybody else is supposed to be with you or interact with you, letting go of when I do something, where that's going to go, other than to be truthful. We've talked about speaking your truth and living your truth. And when I get into a place of knowing what my truth is, then I let go of where it's going to take me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, everything I just did was totally living in my truth. It was totally living in my bliss. I was being guided. I just thought it was different than it was in some ways. It's like there's nothing wrong. I've lived my truth. I feel no remorse about anything around that. Like I was living from the truth and from love. I wasn't coming from any place else. And I feel that in my soul. I feel more like sadness in knowing that, when I guess it's just to go to the greater picture, is really the sadness for me is that there is a lot of turmoil here on the earth, and there are a lot of beings experiencing a lot of suffering and a lot of things that are not fabulous. And honestly, I also realize that there's a lot of those inversions. We've all made choices as souls, and we're experiencing things based on a really long game. So I can do what I can to plant seeds and be of service, but I can't change maybe the magnitude of things that maybe I thought I could change. I know that I can plant seeds, and that planting seeds is actually enough for all of us. Like, if all of us just plant some seeds, grow your garden, grow your own spiritual garden, and help your friends, like we said, help your neighbor, find community, be with community, and do our part within our zone 1, zone 2. And, that's what if we all just did that, it's kind of permaculture living. If we all do this, then the bigger picture will eventually heal itself as each one takes care of your own zone and, man in the mirror kind of thing.
Yeah. And maybe the one next to you.
Yeah, like your immediate neighbors and your friends and people you're resonating with, your people you're vibing with, that you help one another to continue vibing in the direction that you all may be experiencing together.
And inviting those who want to be part of that, and those who don't, to let them go into the light and their blissful whatever that they need to be. And that we just cannot control the trajectory. I keep getting that word, trajectory, of where things go. We can be in this moment. It's a lot of people talk about different things that they see in this, what's going to happen next year or next whatever, and it's like it feels very important to be mindful of where we are right now, to be present here, to do your kind of physical preparations, mental, emotional, spiritual preparations, and to be present with what is.
And do right action, because as you do those spiritual preparations, you go, oh, we need to plant more seeds. Let's put that on the list this week and put more seeds in the ground for food. See, we start just living the reality that we want to live. And speaking to what you just said, that's the problem, is that back to this thing I've said many times, that one of the greatest problems we have is that it's a planet full of divine creators who have no idea that's what they are. So everything you're watching out there and then you're spewing, you are creating it because you are a divine creator. You're powerful and amazing. So think about, what do I want to create? What do I want to speak from my mouth and breathe into creation? Do I want to breathe into creation that ridiculous reality that just sounds no fun? Or do I want to breathe into creation, hey guys, go home and go, you know what wouldn't it be cool if we had like a little garden over there in the corner of our yard, and maybe tomorrow we all go and get some dirt, we'll get some seeds, and as an ohana we'll go over there and we'll make a garden because we want to see beauty around us. So like, where are we putting our energy? Where are we putting our time? Where are we putting our right action? And so, this preparedness and the intuitive, it's not just, spirituality is not woo-woo. It's actually completely physical, in that you have, the whole point of coming is the fact that you have to come into this body, incarnate into this thing, and choose it here. It's no small feat because this place is super dense. It's super dense, and everything here wants you to separate. Everything wants you to fragment. Everything's telling you a ridiculous reality. So you have to actually wake up inside of this thing and then choose right action within this vessel. So that's actually huge. And so that's really what I'm talking about, is coming into like ownership of your sovereignty, that you actually go, I get to choose where I put my energy in this vessel because I choose to be sovereign, by embodying the concepts, by embodying the mental, spiritual, and then living it within my framework.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I like what you said about creators, that we really are all co-creators, and we're creating all the time. We're creating our reality, and where we focus is so important, and what we choose to bring in and through, because as creators we're channeling something, whether it's to dance, to make a painting, to make dinner, to plant a garden.
Ideas, concepts, conversation.
And to just allow that, rather than try to figure anything out. It's not really a lot of figuring.
You keep coming back to this. She's like, go with the flow. Go with the flow, and this like really letting go of things. But I do think there's an inherent quality of also making plans. Of like creating right action, because I think sometimes people get lost in the, like, okay, I'll just do nothing. When it was spiritual concepts
no,
sometimes.
I don't mean that. So in order to function in the world, you have to have plans, and you have to take care of personal business. You have to pay your bills and make sure, certain things are done. So that there's the practical side of living. And as we take care of those things, and we can also simultaneously open up to the creative process, and where are we guided next, and what can we do, and how can we do it? It's not one or the other, right?
Totally.
Because everything's unity. So part of you're the unity queen. Come on.
Okay, so actually, let me just be a little more clear about what I was saying. So what I mean is, I wasn't speaking to the bill aspects and those things, although those things are important and of value. We have to all take care of our basic needs and have sovereignty there of like, how do we meet our needs? But then I was kind of thinking, what I'm kind of perceiving is this more about this right action of putting our thoughts, like actually taking a thought and weaving it into a right action. Because if we hear something like, like I was trying to say with the food thing, like let's say here, oh, there's drought coming. I could just be like, oh no, there's a drought. Oh no, there's a drought. And I'm perpetuating that framework. Or I can put energy into like creating food. Maybe a drought's not a good example, but my point is kind of just to shift whatever negative thing or paradigm that you might perceive, and instead of giving power to that, to shift it into a framework of like, what would be the really cool upright thing that would be the thing I could put my energy into, that would be kind of like, well, instead of that, I'm going to I counter bet you with this instead. I'm going to ante up, and I'm going to go with this paradigm instead of that one. Mm-hmm. That's kind of more what I'm talking about, is like in your, I'm with you, like in your creative process, to have this kind of fun right action in the flow.
Right. Because being in a creative process doesn't mean I just float around in the ether all
Exactly.
day. It's
But we're
about
speak-
bringing that into the place. Like I used to do a lot of writing. I'm
Yeah.
not doing a lot of writing right now. Right now, my canvas is the store. That's where creativity comes. But it doesn't just come there. It comes here. It comes on the radio. It comes walking down the street. It's there with us all the time.
Yeah.
There's certain times it needs to be expressed in a particular way, and it inspires certain actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more that we can be inspired to take actions in this physical world that we live in, rather than doing what we think is a good idea because somebody told us it was a good idea, because what you're inspired to do is not going to be what I'm inspired to do. Maybe there's some overlap, and isn't that cool or not? It's really about listening to your voice and your information, and how do you get inspired, and how do you get inspired, and then what are you going to do with that inspiration? Where are you going to take that? How can I make the world a better place? The answer to that today is different than it was a year ago, different than it was 10 years ago, different than it will be next year. It depends what's going on in the universe, what the universe needs, what society needs, what my higher self tells me I need. It's all
Very
flowing,
big.
baby.
It's all very
It's
expansive.
very
That's
big.
a very expansive statement. It's very
Yeah, we're
expansive.
just floating over here in Intuitive Talk Story. And you know what? Let's take a station break with that lovely moment, and we'll come right back. Stay tuned for more Intuitive Talk Story. We'll be right back.
The North Kohala Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, will offer a training session July 27th and 28th. Volunteers learn preparation and response to emergencies at home, at work, and in our community. Basic CERT training includes recognizing potential hazards, response organization, emergency communication and amateur radio, first aid, fire safety, and basic search and rescue operations. More information at winterj@whitman.edu. That's winterj@whitman.edu. The Give and Grow Discovery School, an outdoor-based educational program for keiki ages 5 to 11, meets Fridays from 9 to 2, offering children opportunities to discover their unique gifts through nature-based practices, community service, and skill building, focusing on social and emotional learning through hands-on activities. For more information, contact Devin Longfellow at 808-895-4257. That's 808-895-4257.
Aloha! This is Eila Allgood of Women's Voices. Please join me on Wednesdays between 4 and 6 p.m. on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. We never quite know what we're going to be hearing because most of my choices are intuitive, unless they come from you, my listening audience, when you call in and make a request. I look forward to playing tunes for you. Aloha and welcome back to Intuitive Talk Story here at KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Eila Allgood with
Michál Anna.
And we are just having a lively discussion here. And if anyone wants to call in, I'm going to pay a little better attention to the phone at 808-884-5657. And we'd like to go back to talking a bit more about something that's practical, which is food. The food we put in our body and how that impacts us, and the food, where we get it from, and why that might be important based on our information, what we know, what we sense. We were talking a bit about seeds and planting your own food, and maybe you can't do that right now, but we have food sources that can nurture this body that we're moving through the world in right now. Would you like to say more about that?
Yeah, well, I think we talked a little bit earlier about supporting communities. So, of course, wherever you are, I think it's really valuable for all of us to be navigating our local food sources, our local foods, our local community stores. I'm really grateful to have the Kohala Food Hub and local CSA. I'm so grateful to have the CSA every week. It's fabulous. You can get involved in the CSA programs in your town and in this town. We have, Kohala Grown Market. We've got some, farmers markets, things that are happening here. We just need to hit bag, support these farms and movements and a lot more that we're not mentioning. But there's tons, and you can find them. And but encouraging all of us in different towns too to do that for sure, to support our local food economy, and also to be aware of why you might want to do that on other reasons, because lots of crazy things are going on out there, and I'm gonna tell you one. So one crazy thing is there is a company called Apeel, APEEL, I believe. And it is a company that creates like genetic material, like a fake skin covering over fruit and vegetables. It's modified genetic material, and it basically is supposed to keep the fruit longer for shelf life. So places like Walmart and Target, who offer fruit, etc., maybe I think some in Costco as well, have this Apeel thing. Don't quote me on it. I'm not making a statement. I'm telling you some information that has been articles I have read around Apeel, genetically modified thing. You can look it up and find out more information yourself. But it leads you to think, maybe I need to be thinking about what I'm putting into my body, what stores you're getting it from, and reading more labels. There's also a lot of things now of bugs and crickets being put into food, which forget now what they're labeling it as.
Oh, probably natural flavoring.
That for sure you don't want. There's another specific name, I can't remember it now. But that's okay. Something to kind of look into. And just basically getting all of us, avoiding sugars. Sugar's kind of like the number one killer, as Eila's always talking about the food thing, and her journey with sugar.
Yeah, and I got to tell people, to be very honest, the past 9 months has just been a hard time for me with sugar. And I was just talking to somebody today about it. I stopped eating sugar 3 days ago. My mind gets clearer. My moods are like even. I'm happier. I don't feel so like my mental chatter when I'm eating that stuff is it's dark. It's unpleasant. It's nasty. It's about me. It's about anything. And until I get just 2-3 days without it, everything lifts. Everything's clearer.
It's really huge. It's really huge. I've been doing superfoods for the last 5 years, and I work with a company, and I sell them, and I share them, and I eat them every day, and I love it, love it, love it, love it. It's changed the game. I'm getting younger all the time, and I highly encourage everyone to get involved in eating more superfoods. Actually, I'm going to be down there at the Banyan Tree with Coconut Joey, sharing superfoods on Thursdays. If you want to come down, I'm going to give out samples and whatnot. Come on down, 12 to 3. Come on down and see Coconut Joey. For samples. Okay. Free samples. And I do think that so getting into superfoods, getting yourself nutritionized, growing your own food, these are all really great options, and taking sugar out. Basically anything white turns into sugar.
Yeah, especially all of the breads and white flour stuff. And we've talked about that before. It's just, I know better, and I've struggled.
No one's on your case. You're doing great.
It's an addiction, and for me, I have like a high addiction to it, and I feel good today. Today matters. So
yes, and I love that, because that's important to say. Yeah. We're all dealing with things, but it's one moment at a time. None of us are getting there like, I'm there in like 2 seconds. no, it's a process, and you just be with wherever you are with whatever your thing is. Back to
Yes.
whatever your thing is. We all got a thing. Isla's talking about her thing, but each of us has our own thing that it might be the thing you're working on.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, that thing got me again.
Yeah.
Darn it. For me, a lot of times I stay up too late. That's one of my things. Like, geez, I just have to make myself go to bed. I just can't. I'm like, oh, I'm tired because
Messes up the next
I
day.
stayed
doesn't
up too late. So whatever, that's a small thing, but the bigger things usually, and like I would reflect on the kill the dream, that was a big thing for me in letting go of something that I perceived to be something, and letting go of my attachment or my expectation or my loving wanting to be, have the storybook in many ways. It's kind of that. And it's really coming to grips with the reality of where we are on the planet and the depths of what's going on and what is really happening here, and the pain that people are in. And there's just a lot more going on, and not everyone is experiencing really great paradigms. And it's going to take time for all of us to unwind those things as a society. They're not overnight fixes. They're long-term fixes. And so that's part of the, allowing ourselves to eat better, take good care of yourself, create a vessel that can process information, because it really takes time for us to move into greater harmony. We have to give ourselves a place to experience it. If this body is full of bugs and parasites and sugars, because sugar is what the bugs love. It attracts bugs. So basically it's a body full of bugs and parasites. They begin to run the show, and it's not really your thoughts. It's not your things. The things we talk about programming, other things. Food is greatly part of that. You could just think of like the entities are really small. They're bugs. They're navigating the brain. They get into the brain. They get into all sorts of places. People are depressed because they have parasites. They have candida. It's directly linked. There's bugs. So we have to cleanse the body, cleanse it out, remove the bugs, and get into more optimum health and allow ourselves to feel what that feels like. I honestly had a really amazing experience because I've eaten everything most of my life. I was vegan early on in like my late teens, and then I from 23 to my early 40s, ate everything, Kohala ranch, steak, everything, lobster dive, pig. I did the whole thing, turkeys, ate everything. But then I was guided to pull everything out, and I went back to pretty much all plant-based, not even eggs, not even cheese. I've been doing goat cheese again lately, but I ate some cow cheese after not eating it for 3.5 years. And I was drunk on the cheese. Drunk. I felt so giddy. It was crazy. And now I really understood why cheese, pizza, cheese, pizza, cheese, pizza. It's actually like a drug.
It's a double
There's a
addiction there.
drug there in the cheese, like the casein. It's the hormones, and like all that. It's really actually doing a whole number on your system and creating a drug effect. And I felt it and was like experiencing it. I was like, wow. And then I completely stuffed up. Like I could hardly breathe. I was like... Like it made me that stuffy and high. I was stuffy and high from the cheese. It was really amazing because I'd never pulled everything out enough to feel it like that.
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten that purified yet, until that time. So I was like, wow, really crazy stuff. So it's cool to experiment with your body and with yourself, and what are things actually doing to you? Like what am I experiencing? Maybe that's not really what I think. Maybe I'm being influenced by the cheese or whatever else.
I was just talking to somebody about it, and she couldn't believe that I would notice in just a few days how different my mind. She's like, you noticed that so quickly? And I'm like, yes, because I am aware of my thoughts and my experiences. And the more aware you are of yourself, the more you can eat that piece of cheese and say, oh my God, here's what's happening to me. I'm not going to do that again, right? The more tuned into yourself you are, the more you can notice that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was definitely, a peeling away of a lot of things for me. I'd been really working on the food stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, like the superfoods and powders and cleanses and taking glyphosate out of my body, like all of these things. And if you have any interest in this stuff, just email me. But like it's all really helped me to, create a vessel that I can run the stuff I'm talking about, these light mechanics and,
Right.
greater the reason these meditations and working through the body. eating, doing the physical aspects is part of the peel away of your emotionality. You're cleansing the emotions out of that. I mean, the food is linked to emotionality.
Oh my God.
Right. So it's like linked to your wounds. So if you do them together, like I'm going to say, let's get you on a cleanse. I got a great cleanse. And it would really support that movement because it's really supportive and nutrifying to be supported while we're peeling away our emotionality. And see, then we're doing it all together because you're creating a temple, which is this thing, is a temple for the living light to live in. It can't live in a jalopy, it can't live in a messy house. It's got to live in a pristine place. So that's what we're creating, is a pristine temple for us to house this magnificent light of God that is us, and it gets to rest through us as we surrender, as we come into the flow, as we move into this trinity of physical, body, mind, spirit, doing all three, we get to move up that awesome rung, or bring our triangle all the way up. We can't take one point by itself. Look at a triangle. You got to take all three together, or else it boop.
Well, and I've observed in other people who have changed their diets to, going from maybe not thinking a lot about the food they were putting in their mouth and just eating, and maybe not eating for 2 days and then eating a lot in another day, just not being very conscious about it all. And then I've seen these same people shift into a more plant-based diet, and the shift in them and the light that they now carry through them is like, maybe I suspected there was some power there, and there's power there in everybody.
Yes.
It's not like,
we're all amazing.
She's got it, but he could eat plant-based all day, he'd still be miserable. No, everybody has the potential.
Well, everyone's just covered with their own stuff. We're all just covered up by our own wounding and things. You're just peeling everything off. Everyone's perfect already. You're all like brilliant platinum lights going, and we're just, some of us have big walls on top and huge steel, and we have all these things covering it up. So you're pulling everything off so that you can be here. One of my old quotes, I think I was probably 19 when I wrote this: "Am I nothing but a transparent onion peeling away the layers to reveal the brilliancy of that which rests within?"
Yeah.
That's it. We're really just peeling these things away. You're already perfect and beautiful and amazing, but we get caught up in all these small things out there, which is why it's like, we help ourselves by taking out the poisons, the chemicals, and these things that aren't of nature, of God, source light, that don't really want, they're things to fragment us. In essence, all these FD number 4, all that stuff, whatever it is, fructose corn syrup, that's all there to create, it's poison, literally, and it's not helping your beingness. So, like if we take out those poisons and we just eat real food and we create like we want to live, it's all choice. Back to that. If we want to choose to live in temples of God, we can, by living in harmony with the Mother Earth, by choosing to surrender to loving the earth, loving life, living in gratitude and in harmony and stewardship with the land and then with one another, and in right action.
And it's very important, a lot of times people make certain food choices based on things going on in their life, things they don't think they can cope with, or they don't have the money to go get the organic stuff. So to me, it's really important to find that place first of forgiveness for self, maybe not doing the best, doing the best at the time. And even though, you might know it would be good to eat organic, but maybe you don't have the money this week, or maybe a million things. And to be forgiving to self, and then say, well, what can I do? What can I do next?
So actually, I want to speak to that from a different platform, because I feel like we keep trying to fix all these problems inside of a broken platform, and it won't ever work. And so what I'm suggesting about building community and getting with your neighbors is so that you don't feel like you can't afford organic papaya because, well, Jibby's, my next door neighbor's got organic papaya, and maybe I'm like growing some oregano, and I've got some cabbage, and so now we're trading. So we have to think in terms of a different paradigm. If we try to keep finding solutions inside this fully built upon separated paradigm which we currently live in, we'll just continue to fail. It's based in duality, and it will never win. So we have to come up with new systems, hence New Earth. So we can't bring old systems into a new earth system. This new earth needs to be based in cooperation. It needs to be based in a foundation of a unified field, which is inherent to the quality of life of all inhabitants. It's not in separation that you're over there and I'm over here. It's not about yours and mine, but it's not about socialism or that either. It's about everyone being respectful and being in charge of yourself and sovereignty. If I can be responsible fully for myself and my wholeness and then navigate with another in wholeness, we can then make responsible decisions to create more wholeness. So if we're all operating from that place, now we devise systems that are based in wholeness as unified individuals who are working consciously at the round table to create a system that actually provides for its inhabitants, provides for its people, rather than comes from this immediate platform of separation, which I find most people are operating from in all forms on a daily basis. Just in how someone receives information or gives it, you're already choosing a platform of separation or a platform of we're on the same team. And because this wounding has been so great here for so many of us, so many are operating from you're not on my team. And I've never understood it because I kind of always been a unity girl. Like, I'm just like, we're all on the same team, aren't we? Aren't we all doing this for each other? Like, come on, I open my house, I open my home. I love parties. I love to invite everyone. I love all those things. Everyone and all, one for all, because I always feel like we're all in it together. I have not been met with that same viewpoint from all the people over the years in many ways, because not everyone's ready to experience that perspective because of our wounding. And I am saying to all of us, let us open the heart, let us release the paradigms that we believe to govern us, and let us choose to go, hey, we can all support each other, even if we're different. I don't have to understand what Joey over there thinks in his entire reality, but we can agree that he's to respect him, respect me, and that we all can have food, and that food for the community. Let's all work at growing different things. We can come up with different ways, and that's what I'm saying is get creative. Think out of the box of whatever we've been doing. If we're going to actually create new earth, well, it's got to be new.
Yes. Well, I think respect is really important. Respecting each other's differences, and when I talked about forgiveness, I really meant that was more important to me than the buying food or not, but you caught on that. So I just want to say what's important to me to say is forgiveness is such an important part of our spiritual growth and evolution. And it's, if I don't forgive myself moment to moment for choices I make, I could have said that better, I could have done that better, it starts to pile up, and it gets really murky, and then it gets harder and harder. So as we go through these processes, especially once we start interacting more and more with community, like you're talking about unity, we need to clear ourselves every day. We need to clear and forgive ourselves for whatever, forgive others for whatever, and so that when we meet each other, we're clean, we're clear. It's without that murkiness of, well, maybe she's going to do this or maybe he's going to do that. It's not. You got to take that out, because we really need each other now more than ever, and we need to be present for one another and kind to one another. And it has to start with us doing that for ourselves. We can't keep giving it away to everyone else and say, well, I'll be nice to her and I'm kind to him and I'm kind, and then we go home and we eat 5 candy bars. It's like, no. Yes, and let's take care of us and forgive us, and then we can really show up every day. So that's
Absolutely. Oh man, yeah, I hear you, and I've been doing a lot of forgiving myself. And what you were just talking about, I'm having just some deep forgiving of someone in my life. And the thing is also, if someone's hurt you, you can forgive, but you also have learned that maybe that's not the path I want to go down because it didn't serve me. Or it did serve and it accomplished what was needed, but now it's no longer serving, so it's making discerning decisions. But we move into, absolutely, I moved into forgiveness quicker than neutrality. So I definitely forgave more readily because I understand what's behind it. So I forgive because I understand it and I see why this person operates the way they do. However, the hurt of my own emotional self, it is a much longer process because there's real feelings involved. And if you aren't able to work out those things with the person, or there's not a willingness or an ability or whatever, and an aptitude to do so, however it works out, you have to work it out with yourself and let go and forgive, like Eila was saying, but then go that step forward to get to neutrality and just move into zero and really let go of the pain. And that's kind of been a process I've been in, letting go of the pain, while I simultaneously really am in gratitude for the immense amount of freedom and joy that I am choosing from my spirit and from myself as I do kill the dreams and let go, knowing, you know what, whatever you got for me, God, I am willing to serve. I choose God, I choose source, I choose love, I choose the Christ path, I choose to be of service and humility here on this earth journey. And in doing so, I surrender, not of my will to divine will, and to feel that complete surrender. Whew, and it's been like the PhD program to that. Wow. But to feel it now, and to sit in it of surrender, like I really don't have an attachment to whatever way it goes. It just all feels like fun to share the work, fun to share sessions, fun to help people be empowered, fun to ignite, feeling good in the body, fun to move, fun to dance, fun to sing, fun to just embark in empowerment, basically. And the same time, there is sadness when we are moving through things. It's painful here. The duality is painful. Moving out of duality means we leave the pain. Really, we get to leave pain once we are in the unity field. It's not, but then there's a compassion. It's not that things don't still hurt or we see pain. It still hurts. It's just that we don't have to get tied or roped into the pain where we are in anguish or in emotionality, which I've definitely felt myself in and have had to pull through in these times.
Yeah, I think it's about experiencing emotions as they happen, or maybe you experience it a little bit later, and then you let it go. You don't
hold
this is
it,
something a lot of us
but you got to
have done.
process it.
You have to process it, and it's important to not let the mind run off into some direction with it and turn it into a saga and a drama of more than what it is. Doesn't mean it's not a drama. It's just that we don't need to feed the pain. We feel it, we let it move through our body, and we honor it because it's giving us something. Oh, this must be for something. Ow, it hurts. And then we see where that's going to take us, and we stay open for that.
And if we look at it from a real 3D perspective, it typically feels all like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But if you look a wider perspective, you're like, ooh, I really see what was exchanged, what was given between whatever experience you've had. And you realize that everything's just an experience, a mission. It's a learning. And that, well, they learned and I learned. And so actually we did achieve what we were supposed to achieve. It just wasn't what my little mind thought was supposed to be achieved.
Right.
So it's only, again, back to I project my own wantingness is on something. We all are just projecting our own things that we think something is. It's often not what you think it is. But our filters from our own desires, wounds, pains, etc., create these filters that we then are playing with. So we're discarding these filters. We're releasing wounding. We're creating the temple of God, and in so doing, we wipe away the illusions, crumble the illusion to realize we are the Ah.
Well, and as you were talking, I just had this image that in order to create a new earth, we need to get rid of all of that, let it go, so that we can be a clear channel. If we're,
Ta-da!
if I'm caught up in how I want something to be, whatever it is, I want the thing. I want the thing to look like this, and then it'll feel like this, and then that'll happen, and then the thing will become this thing, and oh my God, that thing is going to be fabulous. Well, that's not being in the moment of creating in the moment. It's, yes, I might start that way, and where it takes me and you and all of us as we gather, we need to keep letting go of what we think it's going to be, what the thing's going to be, because we're not, when you're creating, you don't know what it's going to be. When you start, someone say is doing an abstract painting, they don't know what it's going to look like when they're done. They just keep going in the moment and in the moment.
And for me, like there's things that hold us for things that maybe you don't need to be held by. Like, well, there's another gig, another show, another thing, another
Yes.
this, another play, another whatever. Whatever you do, another whatever you're in,
It could be the kids, the family.
yeah, a lot of
the
times the
mortgage,
kids.
right.
It's, well, the kids, we couldn't because of this.
Right.
We have a lot of things that we do that with, and again, they're projections and expectations. So it's like we start reaching almost immediately. Like as soon as I'm like, oh, well, I'll do this. I want to go do this, but maybe not. And see, it's like
Yes.
instead have an idea and go, yeah, that could be fun, and I might do it, and I might not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just having the idea. Let me just be okay with the idea,
Yes.
and then maybe write some stuff down if I'm inspired, but let the inspiration move me. Like maybe I'm going to do all those. Maybe I'm going to do none of them. I don't know. And I don't have to hold myself to whether I do one or not. Because we often start to create a thing in our head. Well, now I'm supposed to, or I should, or I
And this
woulda,
what
or I
needs
coulda.
to happen next.
Right. And so putting out what you kind of like, you're throwing things out to the universe, and then you're really present, like back to Eila's magic story, to what shows up. So if I'm putting out all the time, like, gosh, I really like that did happen to me. I was, talking about my superfoods and things, and I literally met someone who was so excited about the superfoods who was really wanting it. And that was exactly what I was wanting.
Right.
And so it vibrated together. And so it's really, you don't have to do anything in that way. Like Eila was saying, just let go. That's how you don't have to do anything. Because you've already gone into meditation, which we aren't really talking about today, but we love to, and because it's the core.
We love your meditations.
And it's the core of all of them. That's what we love. So that whole process of meditating is really about activating, managing your energy, and creating a framework for what you want to experience. Because you're actually managing your life from that. It's like mission control. It's not. It's actually like people say I don't have time to meditate, and I say I don't have time to not meditate because I don't have time to unconsciously create. So that's like you're creating your day. So you already created it. So now I just get in and enjoy the ride. I've already set the framework. I'm in it. My guides are with me. God is with me. Everything is happening. I just get to go be inside of it. That's kind of what we're saying.
Yeah, and like what I said about the Kona trip, I'll end with that, is that I made plans to get my car fixed. There was plans involved with that. And then it was like, well, what's next? Well, I knew I had a span of time to be really flexible with, and I allowed whatever to come up. I didn't have to go anywhere and do any particular thing. So yes, there's the plan, and then there's the giving yourself some space around that plan, whatever it is, whether it's for the day or for the year. It's like, well, I want to do this year. And then sit back a little and see how that wants to manifest.
Absolutely. So kind of summing up, we've talked a lot of stuff here, but food, physicality, managing our time, letting go, which is working with the spiritual aspects, but then putting things into, a plan, preparedness, and right action. We do have to do something. We were inspired, and then let's get up and go plant the garden. So if we don't get up and go plant the garden, there's not going to be any food. So we have to take action. So,
and that's a balance thing.
The balance,
it's really
exactly.
all about balancing what we're doing and how we're being, and keeping in tune with ourselves about that balance between doing and being.
And letting everything be really what you're living, what you're speaking, where everything starts to just click into this triangulation of like, it's all working together in harmony when we come into this trinity balance of this unified field. We move out of a dualistic framework and we become supported. And we come into harmony because we're balancing our feminine, masculine, our left, right, our brain. We're balancing, preparedness and intuition, balancing our foods, and we're creating an environment for source living light to be present in ourselves and then our greater communities together.
And we wish that for all of you and for all of us. And we thank you for listening and being part of this show and all the shows at K&KR. And thank you, Michál, for another lively conversation today on Intuitive Talk Story.
Thank you, Miss Eila. It's been fun. And aloha to everybody out there. And keep your Christic hearts loved and protected and shining bright. Aloha.
And we'll see you in 3 weeks because I have to do some things in the next couple of Wednesdays. So we'll be back in 3 weeks. But there's always shows played at this time, so you can always listen.
Yes, and you can catch shows on Spotify. There's Intuitive Top
And
Story,
Apple
Podcasts, and also my channel, Michál Anna, which also has meditations, MICHALANNA. Mahalo.
We'll see you next time. Aloha.